All right. It's funny that my glasses I had before this would always slide down my nose, so I've gotten so used to pushing them back, and these I don't need to, but it's just muscle memory that every so often I'll find myself doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on that note, welcome back to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. This is episode number 14. I'm that other dude, Andrew. As always, I'm joined by Heather. Uh,
Hello.
who is not in her office, but she is still able to come to us live with a wonderful banner of Eddie behind her,
Yes.
so that
I don't
we.
know how much of it you can see,
Oh
but
yeah, no, we can see
okay.
most of Eddie is, and his fist is right next to your head, so it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But today, episode 14. So last week for episode 13. Um, Remind me again who we did.
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot
Oh
now
yeah, no,
too.
I'm sorry. I'm saying that for myself too, because I'm forgetting.
We oh my gosh.
Oh no,
Uh
no, it was Sumakem.
yes, that's
That's right.
right. Yes,
Yes.
that's who we did. Oh my gosh. And that was all like only a week ago and it's
Yeah. Well, we're things happen quickly, but yeah, Sumokem. So, Sumokem being from the U.S., if my memory
yeah,
serves me
they're
correctly.
from they're from Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
Um the same state as Paul Bear, which I think they kind of get compared to sometimes in their music. So I saw one reviewer say that they were the best that Arkansas has to offer one of the best for music in that area.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Um, but this time for episode 14, we're going to go across the pond to Europe. We're actually going to go to Finland for a band called Second-Hand Apes. And on their Bandcamp page, it says that they play fuzzy and doomy rock from Finland, and the place in Finland is pronounced Joensuu. I made sure to look that up, even though it's spelled Joenssuu, which I would have completely butchered had I not put it in Pronounceify or one of those things. Uh,
Yeah.
I learned about this band during one of my YouTube spelunking trips where I was just looking for stuff. Um, and I think I saw because I think they've put out two singles. So I saw the second one, which is self-titled, and it's like a skull with or a bunch of skulls with fingers crawling over it like they're worms. And I remember thinking, wow, this is, if the music sounds anything like this looks, you know what I'm trying to say there,
Yeah.
that this is going to be pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
that's what hooked me, and I've been a fan of Secondhand Apes. Um, like I said, they have two singles out. The first one is called Shapes, that came out in 2017, um, which I thought we would talk about first. Uh, it has three songs on it. The first one is called Wolves. This was one of my favorites. I'm going to go first if that's okay for today. You usually jump
Yeah.
in, but um, I liked the bass transitions of the song. It had a great chord progression, but then the bass would be the thing that transitioned to the next part. I liked how they used sort of a quiet, loud, quiet formula, and it was really melodic. So a great way to kick off the album, in my opinion.
Yeah. I really like the inflections in his voice. I can see how this music could appeal to a lot of people. It's very pleasant and accessible. I could see it being played on the radio, like commercial radio. It has an alternative feel to me, but with some fuzz. I didn't really know what to expect with the name and the cover art, but this was a really great pick.
Cool. Yeah. So this album, the cover art is an ape that's looking at, I believe it's a guitar pedal. So not really revealing what the music is going to be like per se, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember they have a unique sound to the band, but a lot of the elements that you just mentioned. And I wonder if they know the guys in Jericho, because that's the only other Finnish band that I'm familiar with. Um,
That would be cool if
obviously,
they did.
obviously, it's a big country, so the odds are.
Yeah,
But who knows? The scene might be small enough that they've rubbed elbows together. So
yeah,
we'll see. The second track is called Pact. It had the same melodic, quiet, loud, quiet formula that I liked. It's really subdued. And while I was listening to it, I thought to myself, I really need to make it over to Finland at some point. Um, not only to possibly see Second-Hand Apes play, but to see the guys from Jericho because they have that cabin out in the woods, and then we could participate. There's a Finnish pastime called getting pants drunk, which originated in Finland. It's where you basically hang out in your home all night and you just get really drunk while dressed in as little clothing as possible, mainly underwear, with no intention of going out. And it's supposed to be a really, restorative practice. Now, since I don't drink anymore, I would be happy to possibly do like coffee or seltzer water or something. But it just seemed like a cool thing, sitting at home in your underpants, listening to great music and just chilling. So,
yeah. That does sound nice.
but
Yeah,
but Pact, I liked, very sort of subdued, but a lot of the same elements as Wolves that I enjoyed.
yeah. It starts out really mellow, and I like how the guitars and the drums come in. His voice is really nice. It's instruments that make the song heavy and not his voice, not his singing. The vocals are very understated, deceptively good. I really like the contrast between the subdued vocals and the heavy instruments.
Definitely. And the word when you just said deceptive there, it reminded me of my friend Matt who I went to college with. He was a little bit on the heavier side, but he was a great athlete, and he would always say that he's deceptively quick. So
Yes.
anytime I hear the word deceptive, I always think of that. But yeah, no, I'm glad you're picking up on. This was sort of. I feel like a lot of the elements that you enjoyed about this music is stuff that I also enjoyed. So going into it, I was looking forward to seeing how you were going to react.
Yeah.
And then Lukewarm, I wrote it was distorted right off the bat with a great riff. This time it went loud, quiet, loud. So it was like an inverse of the previous two songs. And I felt like it had a European doom feel to it, which I don't really. That's one of those things. There was a famous Supreme Court justice, I think. I want to say his name was Potter something, Potter Stewart maybe, who was asked to define pornography. And he said, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And it's sort of like, I won't be able to describe what European doom is, but if I hear it, I can identify it. Sort of like this I felt like this had sort of like a Monolord type feel to it, this song. Cut from that. I guess that's what I'd think about for European doom. And then I said the breakdown of the last third of the song was incredible. I could just rewind and listen to that on repeat.
Yeah. That his vocal style reminds me of Michael Stipe, the way that he sings. I like the tap. I like the tap, 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 tap on the cymbals. I like how this EP and the next EP that we're going to talk about, they each have 3 songs each. The runtime on this is around 18 minutes. You get a lot in that 18 minutes. And actually, that's the perfect length for me to take a trip into town because I live out in the country, and perfect 18 minutes to play that trip into town. Great length.
Yeah, I really hope, like with some of the other bands that we've reviewed on this show, I hope that Secondhand Apes are in the process of making more music because while I love going back to their two albums that they've put out already, I would love to hear them continue their musical journey.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, so the first album, Shapes, came out in 2017, and then they have a self-titled album that came out in 2020. And as I said before, I saw this on YouTube, the album cover, and that's what hooked me. Um, and then the first song, Devil Dogs. Um, I said this has the most European doom sounding jam that we've heard so far. Uh, Great riffing and tone. I said it's just on the cusp of being overpowering and too much. I felt like they were sort of riding on a wave, but they had it perfect, like the without it being too much to sort of hear. And I caught myself nodding my head along. Post aneurysm, I don't dare headbang, but I was certainly nodding my head. And then the tempo sped up, and I was like, yeah, this is probably something I wish I was blasting in a car with the windows down.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I noticed that this is much heavier, lots of fuzz, and it's doomier. Has some pretty awesome guitar riffs, bigger sound. This is a great opening song. It has a lot of energy. I'm hoping, like what you were saying, I'm hoping that this band does release full length at some point.
Yeah, I mean they when I posted that we were going to be reviewing their music, they followed me on Instagram. So I'm hoping that that's at least a sign that they're still active.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't get any word that they had split or anything, sometimes I just you don't know. I don't know Wounded Giant. I'm not sure if they're making music right now or Purple Hill Witch. It's just great bands who should I hope will put out more music. But with regard to Secondhand Apes, the second song. Now this is I think what I featured once on A Fistful of Faceful, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Geislerlied or Geislerlied. I know that it's music that was played by during times of mass hysteria, and people would whip themselves, so they'd like self-flagellate while blasting this music, like during the Black Plague or something, something like that. So I guess that's the sense that you're supposed to have. And I said this was the song that hooked me. Really dissonant playing in the intro, build up with the drums cresting over. I said it was a dynamite jam, and this would be the song that I'd tell people if you want to get a sense of this band, listen to this song. Like this is it. This would be the calling card. And yeah, I mean, again, this was what hooked me so many months ago when I was spelunking YouTube.
Yeah, the vocals are more prominent in this song. The melody reminded me of something, but I couldn't place it. I really like the heavy psych and the gazy parts. The music is a mixture of alternative fuzz, stoner, doom, and psych. It's done so well. The heavy parts kind of sneak up on you. It's heavy, but in an understated way.
Yeah, I think you can probably say that about a lot of their tracks. Like there's really a subdued quality to it where they found a great balance with everything. And then the last, again, this was another only a three songs. Hemlock Garden, I said, was the most subdued until about halfway through, and then the distortion kicks in. And again, I just said it was a great jam. So if you're looking for great jams, really, I mean, you should pick up both of these albums, Shapes and Second-Hand Apes.
Yeah, I love the opening, the bass line. This is a really beautiful song. He has a really beautiful voice. The vocals and the instruments, they seem effortless. It has a dreamy, floating quality to it. It gets heavier towards the end, really drives things home. I'm guessing this music won't be forgotten about. I can see how it creeps in your psyche and stays there. It's excellent.
Yeah, I again, I think we have done a good job sort of going back and forth with finding really good bands to discuss their music, and this seemed like the logical next step. But I'm
Yeah.
glad you dug it. And
Yeah.
again, I hope that they'll start recording, or that they are recording new music, or that there's going to be something. Um, but uh, but yeah, Secondhand Apes, definitely check them out. And then
Yeah.
I thought that we, for our next segment, in which I try to convince you to listen to different types of music, I felt like perhaps I didn't want to leave the punk genre quite yet. And I think I started out by playing you music that was really sort of a quicker tempo. And this time I wanted to slow things down a little bit. So again, I picked the Bad Brains because they're such an influential and important band. But again, I tried to find more obscure groups that were lesser well known that deserve the spotlight. So I picked a group called DI, and the track was called Richard Hung Himself. Not the most positive of titles, but a great song. Um, and then Painted Willie had an instrumental track called 405, which I think is named after the famous highway in Los Angeles. And then the Bad Brains had Voyage to Infinity, which I picked. It's a well-known song of theirs, but it's not. It wouldn't. I don't think it would be in the top 10 if people wanted to name, like, okay, what are the songs this band is known for? So again, I wanted to try and find something that might be a really solid B side. So feel free to lead off with any of those three. I am definitely ready to talk about all of them or any of them in whatever order.
Well, um, DI, I've never heard of. Richard Hung himself. This song is dark. They're so nonchalant and matter of fact about it too. Richard hung himself. Richard swung himself. Richard strung himself. The needle stung himself.
Yeah, this was one. So I first heard this song. There was a great movie called Suburbia, which Penelope Spheris did. She had just done Decline of Western Civilization, about which was like a punk documentary. So this was a fiction film, and in the beginning, the lead character, or one of the lead characters, goes to a concert, and Di is playing, and they play the song.
Okay.
So it's like reminiscent of the era. Um, Obviously the lyrics and the song itself focus more on the kind of wasteland '80s scene that was happening at the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I like the song and the riff much more than I actually pay attention to the lyrics. So that was sort of what I had envisioned. Uh, you know, Playing this song for you wasn't necessarily due to the subject matter being something that I would feel you would immediately gravitate toward.
Yeah.
But
And then Painted Willie too. Painted Willie again. I've never heard of. Um, and it was an instrumental, which I didn't know punk did a lot of instrumental music. This song to me, it had more of a melody to it.
yeah, so so Painted Willie, I think is slang. It was a slang term that originated in England for I think maybe someone who is a transvestite back like in the 70s or 80s. Um, I remember it was a like a term that they ended up using Um, I'm blanking on what it actually means, but they were in the Southern California scene, and they were part of like Black Flag's group, Black Flag with Henry Rollins. They had SST Records. They put out Painted Willie's albums, and I first saw them. There's a documentary I think you can still find on YouTube called Reality 86, and it's of I think Black Flag's last tour throughout the U.S. So it's shot on like a handheld Super 8 camera, and it's Painted Willie, Black Flag, and then one of Greg Ginn of Black Flag's other band called Gone, and the three of them just got in a van and toured the U.S. And I remember watching the documentary, and I heard this song, and I was like, "Wow, that's an awesome jam." That's just like I'm just gonna find that song and listen to it on repeat as I just walk down the street. Um, like that phone commercial recently where you can call someone, you'll have hold music, and then they keep calling the person back so that the hold music keeps playing. That's sort of like what I was doing with 405. But again, I want we had gone sort of fast paced, fast tempo stuff the first time around, and this time I wanted to slow it down a little bit and
Yeah.
give you sort of like, okay, well, this is other area, because punk is such a vast genre that I wanted to sort of give you all aspects of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then Bad Brains, this song was heavier. The riffing guitar, which I wasn't expecting. It's kind of chaotic. The song was kind of chaotic, which I guess punk kind of is. Um, More straightforward, more in your face.
yeah, so I think this is off one of that maybe their third album, I think, titled Eye Against Eye, where I think they had started out as more of a straightforward punk band um, that would incorporate sort of reggae along the way, and then I think they shifted less from being like a hardcore punk band into more of a reggae infused. So I think this is an example of them finding their balance. But yeah, I mean, I saw them live back in 2002, maybe, at Irving Plaza, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like there's such a great representative of the scene and the type of music that I had to include them. And I
Yeah.
think within the last two episodes, I've probably given you a pretty good cross section of either contemporary music like the Mesthetics, who are still playing, still they just formed like last year or 2 years ago, um, and then going all the way back to sort of the late '70s. So whether or not you run out and get any of these albums, who knows? But I'm glad you seem to be receptive to most of those. Um, whether or not they'll find their way onto your playlist or not, at least I didn't see you overturning the computer and saying, we're done.
Yeah, I can't really see myself. Some of it I do like. Some of it, yeah. Some I like the you know some of the anarchist parts of it. I kind of do like that. If they're making a statement, I do like that. But as far as like if if it has more of a melody, I like that. But if it's too all over the place, if it's too chaotic, and the music is too all over the place, I can't really get into that. I like music that's more melodic.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely punk bands out there that will deliver what you enjoy. I think it's
Yeah.
just a matter of finding them. But I just sort of wanted to give you an introductory look at kind of what's out there.
Yeah.
I feel like I think I was probably closer to hitting the bullseye with some of them than I was with others, but again, this is not an exact science, and sometimes I was always amazed. There would be times with Martin, especially when I would play him a song that I didn't expect he would like at all, and he would like it. And that so
Yeah.
it was always as just when I thought I had it all figured out. In the immortal words of Rowdy Roddy Piper from Piper's Pit, just when you think you have all the answers, I start changing the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exact. Yeah. There were, I feel like going into this, I was sort of like, yeah, Voyage to Infinity, there are going to be elements of it that you enjoy. And previously knowing that perhaps, oh God, what's the name of the band? Like some of the faster paced stuff that I'd picked going into
Yeah.
it, knowing like, oh, well, this probably isn't going to hit the bullseye, but I think it's important from a historical perspective just to bring it in. So
Yeah.
the good thing is I've got genres upon genres of music that I can and maybe we'll keep Martin and I had a whiteboard that we used to write down all the names of the bands that he liked.
Yeah.
So at some point maybe we'll resurrect the board and
We could do that. Yeah.
we can
We could
see
do that.
we can see. Well, I think I'm probably done. If I were going to play other punk music for you, I would probably be going sideways. I feel like I don't think there's really much more. Like right now, there are probably people, if they're watching this, they're rolling their eyes. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe he didn't play X, or I can't believe he didn't play Y, or I can't. And by the way, there is a great punk band named X, so I should have played them for you. But, but you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah. Yeah.
moving forward as we approach episode 15, I will probably switch to a different genre.
Okay. All right.
Unless I have an epiphany and I'm just like, oh yeah, no, this would have been the perfect song.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave it up to you and you
Yeah,
know.
well, I will do my best.
Okay.
But in the meantime, for episode 14, I'm really glad you dug Second-Hand Apes. I
I
did as well. I think
yeah.
both of their albums are available on Bandcamp, and you can find them on YouTube. We'll, of course, have the corresponding playlist for all the jams.
Yes.
But Heather and I
Yeah.
we're going to try to do this weekly now. So hopefully we'll be able to bring you more comprehensive insight on a regular basis.
Yeah, we're going to try. And the episodes will probably be a little bit shorter, and we're going to try to have one every week. So, I like that. I like that consistency of,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm all in. I've pushed all my chips into the center, so
Okay.
we are all good. Well,
Yeah.
unless there was anything else you wanted to throw out there, so
No.
we'll call this for episode 14. Thank you, Heather, and I hope all of you out there in internet land are doing well. And we will be back next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.